Coming up on the County Line, we take a look at who won the local races in our area.
And Armstrong is now the cable provider for the borough, but what about the internet?
And in Titantown sports, we have the Greyhound Senior Night game against Carn City.
We're live.
We're local.
The County Line starts right now. Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of the County Line. I'm Jordan Early.
And I'm Scott Lawrence. Police are investigating 2 reports of harassment of Barack Obama supporters today in Greenville, PA.
A car of an Obama supporter was spray painted with the name Obama and lit on fire. Police have not yet charged anyone in the incident.
No major problems occurred Tuesday at the polls in Lawrence County. Voters may have noticed major delays in the announcing of the county results. Board of Elections Director Marlene Gabriel attributes this to a new scanner. The scanners counted absentee ballots, but poll workers were not familiar with the new equipment. Volunteers ended up having to run each ballot individually.
The election season has finally come to a close, and residents that went to the polls this week picked the candidate of their choice. But there was no contest for the 3rd Congressional District. Reporter Bill Sadler brings the area results from this week.
The outcome was the same as it was 2 years ago, with Altmaier winning. He took nearly 74% of the vote to represent the 4th district for a second term. Republican Representative Bill English represented the 3rd district for 14 years and faced off against a newcomer, Kathy Dahlkemper. With 52% of the vote, Dahlkemper will take a seat at the nation's capital for her very first time, replacing Phil English. At the state level, Jarrett Gibbons keeps his seat in the House by defeating Bob Morabito in the 10th District. Incumbent Michelle Brooks took 63% of the vote, overcoming Democrat Duke Whiting for the State House seat in the 17th District. An election was held to replace State Senator Gary LaValle in the 47th District, this after he announced his retirement. And newcomer Elder Vogel Jr. won over 14,000 votes to beat Jason Petrella 52-47. I'm Bill Sadler, reporting for the County Line.
The New Wilmington Borough has a new solution for its sewer dilemma. PA residents voted in favor of the 537 plan, a statewide $400 million bond issue that will allow the borough, as well as other areas, to receive funding for sewer renovations. On Monday, a representative from HRG Engineering presented plans specifically for upgrades for the borough sewer system.
Mercer County taxpayers can expect the county tax bill to go up. Mercer County officials approved a preliminary budget raising county taxes by 10%. The median homeowner can expect a $36 increase to their county tax bill. Coming up, we sit down with Lawrence County Commissioner Dan Vogler to talk about the election day and how it all went down.
And in Titantown sports, the Westminster swim team season is in full swing to start.
And with Armstrong Cable in the borough now, we take a look at the World Wide Web and how it is different for the borough. Stay tuned.
So this is Christmas.
When you think of your favorite Christmas memories, what do you hear in the background?
Round and round the Christmas tree.
Tune into Titan Radio this Christmas season for all your favorite holiday music.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Continuous commercial-free holiday music on Titan Radio.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
Titan Radio Digital 88.9 FM and TitanRadio.net.
7 years ago.
Think history is a little scary? Then log on to loc.gov and see how much fun it can be. The Library of Congress at loc.gov.
New Wilmington residents are starting to finally see changes from the Armstrong cable takeover, but the changeover affects more than just your cable. Hear about 2 local residents' own opinions on Armstrong's takeover of their internet. This week, Armstrong cable subscribers are figuring out just where their favorite channels have moved. Last week, the cable company took over the borough's cable system and also became the borough's new internet provider. Seasonal resident Brad Adams, a brother of Theta Chi fraternity, says he's not sure he's happy with the internet switch.
We have noticed a little bit of a difference. Before Armstrong, our internet wasn't that great, but once the conversion happened, it's been dropping a little bit more. Like, we lose the internet service for longer periods of times than we had before.
Adams called Armstrong, who then fixed the fraternity house's internet problems within days. Down the road from Theta Chi at Westminster, I caught up with another Armstrong internet subscriber, Elizabeth Hines. Hines, a Beechwood Road resident, says she wishes she knew a little more about Armstrong's internet services.
Actually, I know I've had 2 pieces of mail about it. Hi, we're Armstrong, and we're switching you over, and here's the deal, and a little bit, and I've kind of glanced at them and put them down. And so I don't know very much, and I realize as a consumer I need to figure out, okay, is this like a good deal for both the internet linkage and the television cable stuff? And I have no idea.
Hines does say, though, other than a lack of information, her internet has been working perfectly fine. Armstrong subscribers with additional questions are encouraged to either call the cable company or visit their website.
Autism is the fastest growing developmental disability in the United States. Statistics show that 1 out of 150 babies is born with autism. Last weekend, I met one local Mercer County horse farm owner who is raising awareness in the community. The number of children being diagnosed with autism is increasing each year in the United States. When the president of the local autism chapter said they had $300 to distribute among all of Western Pennsylvania families who have an autistic child, local West Middlesex farm owner of Silver Lining Farm, Susan Jones, knew she needed to raise more awareness. With her resources in her backyard, Susan held an equestrian clinic in which 10% of the proceeds go to the local autism chapter.
This is a 2-day event. It's considered a clinic, and we get no more than 2 people per trainer, and the only trainer here is Charles Pennell. In the morning is dressage, in the afternoon is jumping, and it's really about learning how to ride and getting your seat, your hands, and your horse all together.
Vicki Zensar, a 12-year rider from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, says she participated in the clinic not only for the riding, but because she has been personally affected by autism.
My very best friend, her youngest son, is diagnosed as autistic when he was 4 years old, and he's now 12. So she struggles as a single parent, so it's a great cause.
Charles Pennell, born and raised in South Africa, has been riding since the age of 4, was the instructor at the clinic. He talks about what the rider and the horse specifically take away from this experience.
I take the rider and the horse, and I put them together, and I try to find ways that they can be more effective as a team.
Susan Jones is planning on holding more clinics in the future that benefit families affected by autism. 10% of her lessons and anything she sells goes towards the local autism chapter.
I'm hoping to, raise people's understanding of horses and also the awareness for autism.
To learn more about how to donate to the local autism chapter, or if you want to know more about participating in clinics at Silver Lining Farm, contact Susan Jones at 724-528-8501.
Local West Middlesex farm owner Elaine Jones raises miniature horses, not to be confused with ponies. County Line reporter Nikki Pizor visits Elaine on her farm to learn more about these miniature horses and her devotion to animals.
Do they get a little competitive? Yes. Although horse breeding isn't always the easiest job, Elaine Jones has held the reins for more than 30 years.
I was always drawn to the little ones. If it was a litter of puppies, I was always picking the runt. A litter of kittens, I had to pick the tiny one. And I heard about miniature horses, and I said, ooh, I got to do that.
Elaine started the Jones Mini Winnies Company in 1980, and now she has more than 50 mini horses on her farm. Miniature horses barely stand taller than the stall door, generally ranging from 34 to 38 inches in height. But they should not be confused with ponies, as the mini horses still exhibit full-grown horse characteristics.
A lot of people say, well, why have a miniature horse? You can't ride them. Well, you can drive them. You can walk into nursing homes. There's a lot of them that use them for therapy. Miniature horses are like, kind of like puppies, dogs. I mean, they really want your friendship, So they are really friendly.
I like mini horses. Jones's Mini Winnies. That's what I like. Whoa!
Just walking through Elaine's house shows she loves the mini horses like her own family.
We've even had birthday parties for Cinder, and nobody wanted to eat the cake after she took her bite, but we had fun anyhow. When you have horses in your blood, you can't get away from it. It's just really hard. You love them, and you just don't know what else to do. If I didn't have the horses, I don't know what else I would do.
I think I've come to realize that mini horses make the best pets. In West Middlesex, I'm Nikki Pizar for the County Line.
Coming up, Christina Rosetta sits down with Dan Vogler about how the presidential election affected us locally.
And in Titan Town Sports, we have the results of the Wilmington and Karnes City game. We'll be right back.
And Titan Radio's gift to you is 24-hour Christmas music all through the holiday season.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful.
On Lawrence County's choice for commercial-free music, Titan Radio, and streaming live on the web at titanradio.net.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
The Westminster Cable Network presents, live from Newcastle, the 16th Annual Light Up Night Parade. See it live on WCN on Thursday, November 20th, beginning at 7 p.m. Get into the holiday spirit with live parade coverage and fireworks only on WCN.
Santa Claus is coming.
Recycling grocery bags is catching on.
Here's my favorite.
Let's reduce packaging by getting one big bottle, and it's recyclable.
Ooh, this box is heavy.
Oh, we'll get this small container of concentrate instead. It's recyclable, too.
Now that's smart shopping. Less packaging and more recyclables.
All we're asking is for you to recycle. Hey, baby, reduce and reuse.
With the elections finally over, Americans have chosen their new leaders. But how do these decisions affect the local community?
Our own Christina Rosetto sat down with Lawrence County Commissioner Dan Vogler to discuss how the elections went and for the local residents.
Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of the County Close-Up here on the County Line. I'm Christina Rosetto, sitting down here the day after, or 2 days after Election Day, with Chairman of the Board for Lawrence County, Commissioner Dan Vogler, an alumnus of Westminster College. Dan, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So we're talking about Election Day. It was a monumental election, obviously. How do you think things went overall, locally with some local elections, and overall with President-elect Barack Obama now becoming the president?
Well, it's an historic time for the country, and I think these presidential elections have become almost cyclical. If you go all the way back to President Eisenhower in the 50s, you had President Eisenhower for 2 terms, and then you had Kennedy and Johnson, the Democrats, and then you had Nixon and Ford, the Republicans. You had Carter, the Democrat, Reagan, the Republican, and so on. And there seems to be a pattern where the country, about every 8 years, makes that cyclical change, and this year was no exception.
You noted an interesting fact right before we went on air here, that there are 12,000 Democrats on paper here in Lawrence County, very locally for us, but that McCain carried the county.
McCain carried Lawrence County by 2,000 votes. The Democrats have a 12,000 vote majority on paper, which tells me that a lot of Democrats in Lawrence County crossed over to vote for McCain. Traditionally, Lawrence County has been a Democratic county when it comes to presidential races. Although Bush carried it for 4 years ago by about 500 votes. I expected that it would be very close this year. I was somewhat surprised that McCain did as well as he did in Lawrence County.
So what do you think that you attribute that to? Is it his policies? Is it the way that he became a little bit more conservative over time from a moderate? Or what do you believe overall caused it?
I think in Lawrence County, many of the Democrats are socially conservative, and they've been referred to as the Reagan Democrats. And I think you saw that happen in this election, that a lot of the more socially conservative Democrats crossed over to vote for McCain. The issues of gun control, the abortion issue, a lot of the social-related issues, I think led to were factors in what led to McCain carrying Lawrence County. Beaver County to the south of us, which is even more heavily Democrat, went for McCain. And yet out in the eastern part of the state, where you have some traditionally Republican counties, they went heavily for Obama. And again, you have more socially moderate voters out there.
Moving a little bit more locally, a big race that was publicized almost astronomically was Jason Altmaier, the incumbent, running against Melissa Hart, who lost her seat back in 2006. A big surprise there?
Well, I don't believe so. Altmaier had the advantage of the incumbency. Notwithstanding the top of the ticket, I think Altmaier was successful in making Melissa Hart, tying her in with George Bush, and obviously George Bush is not popular right now. And I think Altmaier's strategy was a successful one. His 2 years as a congressman, he has been very attentive to the needs of the district, and I expected somewhat of a closer race, quite frankly, but Altmaier won with a pretty sizable margin.
Were you surprised at you just said a sizable margin by Altmaier. Were you surprised at that, being that Melissa Hart actually accused him of not wanting to debate with him on several different occasions? Are you surprised by that landslide of an outcome?
I don't know that the debate issue made that much of a difference. I don't know that that necessarily resonated with voters. I would have expected a little bit of a closer race because of former Congresswoman Hart's name recognition. She had high name recognition going into the race. But again, Altmaier has focused heavily on the district and on constituent issues in the district, and I think that was helpful in his reelection bid. He is also, you could look at him as a more socially conservative Democrat. So while you had a lot of the socially conservative Democrats go cross over to vote for McCain, when it came to Congress, they went back because they were more comfortable with Altmaier because of that social conservatism.
Right. Quickly, moving a little bit even more local into District 47 and District 10. These are General Assembly elections. In District 47, Jason Petrella was taking on Elder Vogel Jr., who was basically a virtual unknown. Are you surprised by this outcome?
Well, somewhat because of the registration. You had Beaver and Lawrence counties, heavily Democratic. By the way, I might add, Elder Vogel, fortunately for him, is not related to me. Our names are spelled a little bit differently.
You're Vogler.
I'm Vogler. He's Vogel, and it's
we
to
should
his.
Note.
Yeah. Elder ran a good race. He was new. He was fresh. I think what hurt Mr. Petrella in that race was the perception of a connection to Mike Vion. Yeah, a Democrat House member was defeated in Beaver County as well, and I think, again, it all goes back to the Vion issue.
It was played up as a very big race, too, because of Gerald LaValle retiring and everything, too. So you say that that maybe there was a conception with Mike Vion in the bonus gate and everything.
Exactly, even though Mr. Petrella did not have a connection with that. He was not involved with that, but unfortunately I think he got splashed by it.
Wound into it.
Vogel ran a good race, and Vogel, Vogel's a dairy farmer. He's a current township supervisor, so he did have some governmental experience, which worked to his advantage.
Touching on one of the other ones, District 17 General Assembly, which was Michelle Brooks and Duke Whiting.
Duke Whiting.
Duke Whiting, I'm sorry. Absolutely, Michelle Brooks absolutely just ousted Whiting. He was virtually also an unknown. Brooks also openly opposed to the tolling on I-80. Did that ultimately help her?
I would imagine that issue did help her. And Michelle is an excellent politician, a very hard-working legislator. And she had the advantage, it is a Republican district because it takes in rural Mercer County. The portion of Lawrence County that she represents is predominantly Republican, and it goes into Crawford County as well. So she had the advantage of the registration, but she is a very hard-working legislator.
Great. Well, Commissioner Vogler, thank you so much for being with us today. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And stay tuned. More County Line is coming up next.
So this is Christmas.
When you think of your favorite Christmas memories, what do you hear in the background?
Round and round the Christmas tree.
Tune into Titan Radio this Christmas season for all your favorite holiday music.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Continuous commercial-free holiday music on Titan Radio.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
Titan Radio Digital 88.9 FM and TitanRadio.net.
Honey, would you get me some ice cream?
Ice cream?
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some things you just can't do without. It happens every night, all across America.
Good evening, sports fans. I'm Matt Ogden with another fresh edition of Titantown Sports. New Wilmington went into their final game of the season, one win away from their second perfect season in their past 5 seasons. Sports reporter Doug Kuntz has all the highlights from the Wilmington game versus Carson City from this past Friday.
Happy Halloween! Let's go house!
We pick it up in the second quarter. Stymack the pass. Ball is in and out of the hands of Carson Shaba. Could have had an easy pick there. Later on in the drive, 4th and 14. Stymack goes deep and connects on a 27-yard touchdown pass. Extra point is up and tipped, no good. And that will set up this 1-yard TD run, and none other than Jake DeMetto capping off an impressive 21-play scoring drive. And that's how they would enter the half. Greyhounds leading 7-6. Wilmington receives the ball to start the second half. Wagner throws. Ball is tipped off of Sutton Whiting's hands and right into the arms of Dallas Hartman, who has nothing but green towards him in the end zone. And that's good for 49 yards. Carson City fumbles the ball and the Hounds will make them pay. Pass complete to Matt Wagner, and just like that, your Greyhounds score 2 quick touchdowns in the second half. Score now 21-6. With 2:21 left to play in the game, another big 4th down for Wilmington. Fans looking for some defense. Stymack drops back the pass, and it's a screen to number 32, and he finds his way for a touchdown. Carson City 22, Wilmington 21. Wilmington looking for some magic in the closing minutes of the game, finds Carson Shaba. Next play, Wagner rolls to his left, throws in. Oh no, he's intercepted. Carson City intercepts the ball, and that will do it for the game. Wilmington loses. What killed Wilmington was the 4th quarter. The Gremlins held the ball for nearly 9 minutes, and on the winning drive converted 2 4th down plays, while Wilmington turned the ball over twice. And that's the final score, Carson City 22 and Wilmington 21.
Recognition night for their fall sports seniors. The seniors were escorted out onto the field by their parents before the game. We wish all the seniors best of luck. Although the Greyhounds posted their first loss of the season, New Wilmington looks to defend their District 3 title in their first-round playoff battle against Girard at Slippery Rock High School. In another PIAA Class AA action, Wilmington Stadium will be the neutral site for Sharon and Fairview. Slippery Rock will be tested as they travel to Erie to take on Northeast High School. Games are set to take place on Saturday. Looking at the PIAA Class A games, the Region 1 champs Mercer High School will be the home team Friday night as they take on the Iroquois at Wilmington Stadium. Union City will take on the two-loss Farrell area Steelers. In PIAA Class AAA action, Grove City will take on Cathedral Prep, and in the second round of the WPIAL playoffs, Class AAA Newcastle looks to continue closer to Heinz Field as they take on the Indiana Little Indians Friday evening. Moving on from the high school action, Westminster will have a surplus of athletic events this weekend. The 500 Titans football team look to come off their bye week rested and ready to beat their rivals Grove City for the right to the third overall spot in the President's Athletic Conference. Game time is set for 1:30 Saturday afternoon, and you can catch all the action live right here on WCN as well as Titan Radio. For the second straight year, women's volleyball and men's soccer are the top seeds in the PAC playoffs, so anyone looking for a championship has to come through New Wilmington. The women's volleyball team will host Waynesburg Friday, and the men's soccer team plays host to the second-seeded WUNJ Presidents for the PAC Men's Soccer Championship Saturday at Harold Burry Stadium. Finally, the men and women's swim team look to collectively take down Allegheny Gators on Saturday. The women's swim team look to continue their dominance after their 42-point victory at Chatham this past Saturday, with a lot of help from this week's SAC Athlete of the Week, Megan Meyer. Meyer is a senior from Revere High School in Copley, Ohio. She set two Chatham pool records, along with winning the 200 backstroke and contributing in the 400 medley relay. Congratulations, Megan. As we move on to extra innings, the Penguins look to steady out their early rough patch as they host the Edmonton Oilers tonight at Mellon Arena. In the NFL, Brady Quinn will get his first start of his career for the Browns as they host Jay Cutler and the 4-4 Denver Broncos tonight on NFL Network. The Steelers come home after their Monday night victory and host Peyton Manning and the struggling Indianapolis Colts this Saturday afternoon at 4:15. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week from Melissa Maines and an all-new Titantown Sports. I'm Matt Ogden. Don't touch that dial. More County Line is on the way.
And Titan Radio's gift to you is 24-hour Christmas music all through the holiday season.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful.
On Morris County's choice for commercial-free music, Titan Radio, and streaming live on the web at titanradio.net.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Wanted some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Fire.
New Wilmington local landmark, the Tavern Restaurant, is now under new ownership, reopening in January. The restaurant, formerly owned by Jay and Jenny Baines, has been up for sale for over a year.
Neshannock Creek Inn owners Joseph and Susan Hogelman are the new owners of the restaurant. They plan to restore the tavern to its original days with real homemade cooking. They are also hoping to add a bakery next door. The Hogelmans are also creating a website for community input on the tavern future.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's County Line. We'll be back next week.
It outlines his policy agenda. It has biographies on his transition team. It even includes a section where you can submit your own stories. The website, www.change.gov. Vice President-elect Joe Biden received a hero's welcome on his first trip home since the election. Biden and his wife Jill were the star attraction at the Delaware post-election tradition known as Return Day. It's when the winners and the losers of political contests symbolically bury the hatchet. At the end of the campaign season, Biden waved to the massive crowds and said it felt great to be home. And the election is over, of course, but there's still plenty of political news. You can keep up with all of the latest transition news and analysis if you go to cnn.com/ticker. Well, even a White House dog can snap under all the pressure.
How you doing?
Hey, good boy.
Ooh.
Did it get you all right?
What prompted Barney to bite? And who's now getting official White House apologies?
America Votes 2008. Brought to you by the new AT&T. Your world. Delivered.
Me? I'm fast. That's why I use the BlackBerry Bold with AT&T 3G speed. I can surf the internet fast, download attachments fast, and send them to my colleagues fast. Excuse me for a sec. It's good to be fast!
Only AT&T has the new BlackBerry Bold. The fastest BlackBerry ever. Only on the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T.
If you're looking to invest in gold and silver, here's a website that could quite possibly change your life and your financial future. It's monex.com. At monex.com, you get instant access to a wealth of timely information on the gold and silver markets, including the latest prices on bullion and on the world's most popular gold and silver coins. At monex.com, you also get exclusive forecasts and recommendations from some of the world's most respected financial analysts who explain why it's so important for you to own gold and silver for both wealth protection and profit potential. Log on now to take advantage of these special free offers available only at monex.com. Discover the many convenient ways you can own gold and silver. Monex makes it easy for you to learn why and how to own gold and silver, and that could make a big difference in your financial future. So log on now to monex.com.
Monex.com.
If not for you, I would know nothing of. The moon would rise, the stars would shine, just like they always do. But not for me, not for me, if not for you.
Closed captioning hours provided by Passages Addiction Cure Center, Malibu, California.
To end your dependency on drugs, alcohol, or addictive prescription medications, read my book, The Alcoholism and Addiction Cure. To get it, call 888-THE-CURE.
I'm Jane Velez Mitchell, and here's my issue. This past election day, Massachusetts voted to eliminate criminal penalties for possession of an ounce or less of marijuana. Those caught with pot will only have to pay a $100 fine and give up the drugs. Hallelujah! It's about time we started to get smart.